Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can take a sample or a loop and flip it into a beat. If you're liking this type of content, I would really appreciate a like and possibly a sub. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do when trying to flip a sample is you actually need to find your sample. So I found this one on YouTube right here. Obviously, I'm using this just for the sake of this tutorial and this video, but make sure when you're picking out your sample, make sure that it's royalty free and that you're not going to get copyrighted or anything like that for it. So yeah, you can use a sample like this off of YouTube. Make sure it's free for profit or royalty free. Another thing you can do is download like sample packs or just make your own samples. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to be using this one off of YouTube right here. So ways you can get it actually into your FL Studio right here is you can either check in the description for like a free download, or you could copy the YouTube link and use like a YouTube to MP3 converter or something like that. For this tutorial, that's what I'm going to do. So I have this website right here. I'm just going to convert that. And then all you have to do is just download that straight into your FL, just like this. So here's the whole sample. And then one thing you're going to want to make sure is that you know the BPM of the sample. Sometimes it'll have the BPM either in the title of the video or in the description. For me, it's in the description right here. So I'm going to change the BPM to 150. And then we're going to make sure the loop is perfect. So what you can do is change your step to none right here so you can have an accurate way of slicing this clip up. And make sure you clip it right where the sound comes in and right where the sound cuts out. So I'm going to do that. And now that we have the loop, let's check if it's a perfect loop with the tempo. And how you can do this is just play it at the end of your loop like this and make sure the transition is good. So that sounds pretty good right there with the tempo. Now we can start actually creating a beat on this. So it kind of depends on what type of beat you want to do. For this one, I think I'm going to do just kind of like a basic trap beat. But first, I'm going to actually add some effects to the sample right here because like I said, we're actually trying to flip this sample. So I'm not just going to keep it dry like this. I'm actually going to add some effects. So open up your mixer right here. It's going to be this button in the top middle, and then it's going to pull up this mixer right here. What you're going to want to do is actually double click on the clip and then use this little toggle right here to put it on the track you want. So I'm going to put it on track 1, which is going to route it to this track right here. And then we can start putting effects on it over here. So the first thing I want to do is definitely put an EQ on here. What an EQ is doing to the sample right here is basically allowing me to change the frequencies of it, or kind of like the sound and tone of how the guitar actually sounds. So as you can hear, if I cut out some of the high end like this, the guitar is going to be changed a lot. I think I'm going to cut out a little bit of this low end right here so I can have room for my 808 that I add later. Just shaping the sound of the guitar a little bit right here. And then I'm going to add some reverb to it. So yeah, those are just some simple effects we can add to this guitar right here to give it a little bit of a different sound. So this is how it sounded before the effects. And this is how it sounds with those effects. So yeah, I'm just going to use that right there for my sample. And now we're going to fit in some other instruments around it. So yeah, I'm going to try to find some other things that I think would fit in here. So let's first start off with just like a different counter melody maybe. Let's go into Citrus right here and let's try to find a sound. Okay, so I think I kind of like this vibraphone right here preset within Citrus. So I'm going to make a melody with this. So for this, what you're going to want to do is find a melody that kind of counters the sample. So I'm going to make a melody that contrasts the guitar that I already have in my tracks right here. So let's try to think of a melody. The way I think of my melodies is I loop the main sample and then just kind of hum an idea in my head until I can kind of materialize it in here in the piano roll. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I think I'm going to do something like that. So I'm actually going to record that. So you can either use the piano roll to select your notes, or you can record with a MIDI keyboard like I am. Whatever suits you, but I'm going to do that right here. So that's literally all I did right there. Just a very, very simple melody to get started right here with my counter melody. So I'm going to make sure those are all on time right there by doing Alt Q to quantize them. And then I'm going to play that with the main melody. I'm actually going to put them on the same effects track that I did for the guitar because it's going to allow it to fit in right there. As you can hear, that vibraphone right there fits in a little bit better than it did before. Okay, so now I'm going to find a sound that I can kind of add chords with and fill out the beat a little bit more. So I'm going to maybe do like a piano or maybe a pad or something like that. So I'm going to search for another sound. Okay, so I think I like this sound right here. It's called Edgy, and I got this in Citrus as well. So I'm going to fill out the chords right here. How I go about knowing which chords to actually play on top of the sample without like any music theory knowledge or anything like that. Listen to the very first part of the sample and pick out the lowest note you hear. So I'll demonstrate that right here. For this one, I hear ba, which is a C, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to build off this C right here and keep going. And then we got to do that for every chord within the sample. So I'm going to listen to the whole thing and kind of pick out all the chords I hear. So for that second part, I hear it go ba, ba. So I'm going to add that right here. It's just 2 chords the whole song right here. Okay, so now what you're going to do for these chords is you are going to count 7 up from your bass note right here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then in between that, if you want to make it a major chord, you're going to count up 4 from the bass note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. And if you want to make it a minor chord, you're going to count up 3 from the bass note. So 1, 2, 3. But as you can hear, that minor chord didn't sound good, so I'm going to do the major one. And then I think for the bottom one, it goes to minor, so I'm going to count up 3. 1, 2, 3. And then 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm going to put these down in octave by just holding control and pressing the down arrow. And now I'm just adding another bass note on the bottom so I can fill out the chord a little bit. And then for the last notes that I'm going to add, they're going to be on the top. These ones, you can kind of mess around with them. Just kind of add notes just like this until they kind of sound good in your ear. So I'm going to see what sounds good here. I think I'm going to add that one. Okay, so I did a little bit of a top melody right there, just adding some more notes to the chords. And this part is going to be some trial and error. This part is going to take a little bit of practice, but once you get good at it, it's going to come very easy. Okay, now we're going to get into everybody's favorite part, the drums. So what I like to do for my drums is I usually like to add a hi-hat, a clap, a kick, and an 808. Those are like the 4 main basic things I like to add. So I'm just going to do some simple trap drums right here. I'm going to add, I guess, just attack hat 1. I'm going to start with the hi-hat. Add whatever hi-hat pattern you want, whatever sounds good to you. For me, I'm just going to do a 2-step pattern right here. I'm just going to copy them over again, just like this. Right now, I'm just adding some extra notes where I think the hi-hat pattern could use them. So again, I'm just playing the melody through and just listening and hearing spots where I think it could use a hi-hat. Okay, so I think I'm actually just going to copy this pattern over right here. Again, it's pretty simple, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going too complex. So right here, as you can see, I copied the same hi-hat pattern that I did in the first half over to the second half. So I'm going to search for a sound for that. I'm going to use this one right here. And then I'm going to do a 2 and 4 clap pattern. So if you don't know what that means, there's 4 beats in every measure in 4/4 time. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to have the clap hit on the second and the 4th beat, just like this. As you can see on that one, I put the beat hitting a little bit off beat right there. So I give it kind of a cool effect. I don't necessarily like this clap sound, so I'm going to try to find something else. Okay, that sounds pretty good right there. Now I'm going to add a kick. I'm going to use this one right here, and I'm going to do a pattern for this. Again, I know I've said this quite a few times already, but making a good melody or pattern just comes down to repeating the main melody over and over again and playing or selecting the notes as you hear them. So I'm going to do that right here. Maybe something like that, but again, I'm going to quantize those and see how that sounds. So that's a pretty good kick pattern right there. I like the way that sounds. And lastly, we're going to add the 808. So I'm going to go into my 808s right here and find one that I like. I think I'm going to use this one right here. And a good tip for knowing where to place your 808s is you can actually copy your kick pattern over into your 808 piano roll. So I'm going to do that right here. Just Control C while I have my kick piano roll selected, and then open up my 808 piano roll and paste that in just like that. So now that you have your 808s in the right place, you need to make sure you have them on the right notes. And a good way to know that you have them on the right notes is going back to your chords that you made. And like I said before, finding the lowest note that you hear. So right here, it would be the C and the A in the chords. And as you can see, those notes just repeat all after each other. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with the 808 down here. So I'm going to make sure the first one is on C, just like that. And then when that A hits, which actually happens after the first measure, as you can see right here, it goes one full measure of the C and then one full measure of the A. So we're going to have the C for the first measure. And then if there's any notes in the second measure where that A hits, we're going to actually bring that note down to the A. So those were actually not on the A. That was my fault. Also, sometimes your 808s are going to be a little bit more complex than this because usually there's more than 2 chords in a progression, but this is how it's going to sound with this specific one. And also you can add more 808 notes than you have of kick notes because sometimes it sounds better if you do that. The kick is just a really good guideline for starting out your 808 patterns. So if I hear where I think a note should go, I'm going to place it there. Like I added that one right there. And I think I'm going to bring these up an octave and give the 808 a little bit more range. As you can see, the first C I made on C6, and then the second ones that hit are down on C5. And one thing I would like to mention is that I was playing this on the pattern the whole time. So you guys were only hearing the instruments that I added. But now if we switch it to song, it's going to add that pattern right there. And if you didn't already have your pattern in, you can click this button right here and just drag it in just like that. So we have the pattern right here. And we're going to hear how that sounds with the guitar. So yeah, that's how you can take a sample and flip it into a beat. If this video helped you out, I would really appreciate a like and possibly a sub. Also, if you're into improving the sound of your vocal mixes and just your music overall, then you should check out my website where I have 4 available vocal presets. One of them is completely free. It's called the Caleb James Lead Vocal Preset. And yeah, you can download that after this video. I'll put it as the first link in the description. But yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. I fell in between the words. Don't know which I should put.